I kind of disagree with you there. He's got a couple of real good fucking dudes.
Oh, Mr. Freeze, he's awesome.
Ah, right. Mr. Freeze is a shitty one. So is the Riddler.
The Penguin.
The Riddler and the Penguin suck, but Poison Ivy, kind of a badass.
Poison Ivy's pretty good.
Catwoman, kind of a badass. Catwoman was a villain before she was his squeezy thing.
I mean, I will say, as far as having actual, like, good female characters, like, with the exception of X-Men, Batman's definitely killing it.
Right.
And by the way, you saw the article, the girl I sent you, that they cast as Poison Ivy, right?
Yeah. No, she's very pretty. I'm not all dicks out for Harambe for her, but you know, at the same time, I can see it.
Oh.
She's a very pretty girl. She's very endowed.
Well, what I don't like is that she's naturally redheaded, and it's Poison Ivy, who the Poison Ivy character has pretty much always been envisioned as a redhead, and then for some reason they dyed her hair blonde. It's like, what did you do that for?
Maybe she was blonde beforehand. I don't know.
No. Well, I don't know. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe she had it for a different role, but she's naturally like bright red ginger hair.
Yeah,
and she looks great.
That's because Hollywood likes to fucking readdress things and change it up and stuff like that. Go figure. I mean, look at what they did with Suicide Squad. Have you gone to see the movie yet?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, well, the kids loved it. You know what I mean? The kids loved it. The critics hated it. You know, and a lot of people are shitting all over it, and a lot of people are praising it. I think the big thing is I think where all the shitting comes from is that the hype train was real. And I mean, when you really come down to it, I mean, the big difference is here you have technically a new Batman, you have a new Joker, you have Harley Quinn finally making her movie debut, which she's been a character that a lot of people have been emulating for years at every fucking Comic-Con known to man. And now the cool thing is there's going to be a lot of sexy Harley Quinns out there at Halloween this year. But and then you also introduce a ton of new DC characters as well that have never been on the screen before. So I think there was absolutely a big hype train going into it, but I think, you know, the fact that the story was just okay, but I mean, the same thing could be said for Batman versus Superman. DC has been having a real problem as far as storyline-wise keeping the audience interested, but they clearly have a fucking an A-ticket on that hype train, so...
Yeah. I mean, I think that the Suicide Squad thing was probably about as good as it could get for DC right now, especially when you take into account, like, so many of DC's characters. Like I know this is absolutely fucking nothing to do with wrestling, but whatever.
Oh, well,
Superman is getting green-lighted. Another Superman.
Well,
Are we done with his shit yet? He sucks.
No, there's going to definitely be another Superman. I just actually got done watching last night The Killing Joke, which is obviously the very famous Batman and Joker story from the comic books back in the day. And obviously there was a couple of spoiler twists inside of it, so I'm not going to fucking break it for anybody. I know that there's people out there that want to see it that haven't seen it yet, but...
I don't know. But I feel like out of all the heroes, Superman is easily the most antiquated. Like the character itself, the storyline, like it's just nah.
Yeah, but people say the same thing about Captain America. Yeah.
Captain America, I could see that, but Captain America's whole thing kind of revolves around, like, he can go fight villains and be like, Captain America fights the terrorists. Like that's always something you can recycle. But like Superman, it's just the same fucking tired villains, and it's like, I'm a news photographer, and he like looks exactly the same. Like,
so you really have a problem with DC villains overall, because I mean, a lot of the DC villains that Superman faces, obviously Batman does too. Batman has fought Lex Luthor a bunch of fucking times. It's no fucking new secret. Batman, I think, or Superman has actually fought Bane before. Bane is another super villain of Batman's that. You know, I was never necessarily against. Two-Face I kind of enjoyed, going back to that too. I like the duality of man kind of deal. You know,
Two-Face is one of the better ones. I do think that they made a mistake killing Two-Face as soon as they did in the films.
Yeah. But I mean, then there's others too, like Scarecrow. Scarecrow was very interesting to me. I mean, a guy who makes a nightmare serum and pretty much fucks with everybody's own personal nightmares. You know, it's like Batman didn't necessarily have bad villains. I think the way that the movies have addressed them, the way that Warner Brothers addressed most of them over the years, was just shitty and cheesy. I mean, to be fair, the Riddler was probably one of the shittier Batman villains, but Jim Carrey fucking knocked it out of the park, I thought.
Oh well, yeah, because Jim Carrey's excellent.
Yeah, well, that and he's crazy. You know.
Very, very true. Well, no, I think it's somebody, I can't remember who it was, where somebody even mentioned that. They were like, oh, if they put Riddler in a movie, they should cast Jim Carrey. It was like a younger person. And they were like, yeah, that already happened.
Yeah. Going back to Raw. My goodness. Going back to Finn Balor, obviously debuting with the suit and tie and stuff like that. I think a lot of people are expecting him to be the monster at SummerSlam.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're kind of hinting at it already. I'm not sure. Do you think it's a little too soon?
No. I mean, I think it makes sense if you want to debut him, especially when it's on such a big fucking stage.
Right.
Do you know about the legends and the myths? Do you know about the Tuha De Duna, who burned their ships once they landed ashore so there would be no chance of retreat? How about my namesake, Finn McCool? He was a giant who threw a piece of Ireland into the sea. And what about the monsters, Seth? The king of the demons, Balor. Do you know who Balor is, Seth? Do you know what he does? When his evil eye opens, the world ends. First the grass burns, then the seas boil, then the air catches fire and all of humanity falls. These are not just stories, Seth.
This is one of their biggest pay-per-views of the year. Now, it's tough right now where I'm looking and I'm going, okay, what's going to be the main event of this pay-per-view? Because I can see them doing Dolph and Ambrose, but I don't know if they'll put Dolph and Ambrose in the main event or if they'll put Rollins and Balor in there. It seems like they'd be too afraid to put Balor in there right off the fucking gate, you know? Like, we know it's going to be a great match, for sure. But it seems like they don't want to put, like, are they going to put that in the center of the poster? It doesn't seem like it.
Well, no, the main event is probably going to be Brock versus Randy Orton.
You're
forgetting the fact that not only has that been pushed as, you know, a big event for now almost a couple months they've been alluding to it, but the fact that it's also transcended both shows, you know, obviously is going to be the highlight of it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I could see them doing the Brock and Randy Orton as the main event. Actually, yeah, you're right. That makes sense. I'm just thinking, you know, classically minded where it's like, oh, you got to put the title match on last.
Nope.
But then I realized it's not Mania, so they don't have to do that.
Right. Well, not only that, I think if anything, it's going to be more of a big deal. And you know what? Raw is probably going to be the lead up to the main event too, especially with the Universal title being on the line. I think that's going to be what they use in order to, you know, go into the main event, unless they do something weird like Becky versus Eva, you know, before the main event, like the chill match. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I guess I would prefer for them to do Dean Ambrose versus Dolph in the semi-main.
Yeah.
That at least makes sense. When you take into account that it's like, okay, it's still the WWE title.
Yes.
Like, let's not take away from